You know, it's funny. In a world that's just obsessed with being seen and heard, have you ever noticed that real, actual power often moves in total silence? We're going to dive into that today because we're exploring an idea that completely flips modern culture on its head: the incredible, sovereign power of silence.
This quote, man, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? It suggests that our constant need for approval, for that quick little dopamine hit of validation, is actually a trade-off. We're literally giving away our future strength for a tiny, fleeting moment of feeling noticed.
So this is the question we really have to ask ourselves, right? Is the work we're putting in meant to build something real, something that lasts, something that can speak for itself? Or are we just broadcasting our every single move, hoping that someone, anyone, is going to clap for us along the way?
And that leads us straight into what you could call the cheap validation trap. I mean, think about it. It's like an addiction to what other people think, and it just completely undermines our own strength. When our self-worth is all tied up in likes and compliments, our foundation is basically built on sand, and that is the exact opposite of the Stoic ideal of having a solid internal core.
Okay, so if that's the trap, what's the way out? Well, it's the power of scarcity. See, true influence doesn't come from being the loudest person in the room. It comes from strategic absence. When you aren't constantly available, your presence suddenly becomes an event. Your words carry so much more weight. A lot of the time, the strongest move you can make is just silence. Now, this isn't just some abstract philosophy, it's a legit strategy. So let's break this whole thing down into 7 specific, actionable moves that you can start using to build this invisible power in your own life. Think of this as your practical guide to turning that weakness into real sovereign strength. All right, here's a quick look at what we're covering: disappearing, stopping the oversharing, becoming untouchable, protecting your time, moving slowly, leveling up quietly, and finally, striking in silence. Each one builds on the last, and together they create this complete system for self-mastery. Let's jump into the first move. First up, disappear without explanation. Now, this isn't about being rude or ghosting people, it's about creating scarcity. So instead of being in every group chat available 24/7, you just step back a little. People start to notice you're not there. It creates this little vacuum, and when you do decide to engage again, your presence, your input has so much more weight.
And that brings us right to the second move: stop oversharing. There's some powerful psychology going on here. People respect what they don't fully get. When you share every little thought, every detail of your day, you leave zero room for imagination. But by keeping, say, 90% of your life to yourself, you create this aura of mystery, of authority. People can only guess what you're up to.
Now, this third move, becoming untouchable, this is pure Stoic wisdom right here. The goal is to build such an unshakable inner core that your self-worth is completely independent of what anyone else says. When a compliment doesn't puff you up and an insult doesn't crush you, well, you become impossible to control. Nobody can pull your strings. You become totally sovereign over your own emotional state. Move number 4 is all about protecting your time. I mean, think about it. Your time is your single most valuable asset, and you can't get it back. The way you guard it sends a powerful signal to everybody else. If you're careless with your time, guess what? So are they. But if you guard it fiercely, it shows you have a purpose, a mission that is not to be messed with. You know, think about the people you really look up to. Do they seem frantic, constantly rushing around? Probably not. Moving in a deliberate, calm way, it just projects confidence. Rushing signals anxiety, like you're not in control of your own situation. But stillness? Stillness shows everyone that you are the one setting the pace.
Oh, this one's a big one. It's all about showing, not telling. Instead of announcing all your big, grand plans, just disappear and actually do the work. Then you reappear with the results. Let your achievements do the talking. The impact of that is 1,000 times more powerful than any promise you could ever make. And this all leads up to the 7th and final move: strike in silence. When the stakes are high and everybody is watching you, expecting you to show your hand, the most powerful thing you can do is say absolutely nothing. Act without broadcasting what you're about to do. Let the victory itself be the final word. So what's the point of all this? What's the end goal of these 7 moves? Well, they all work together to forge that untouchable core we were talking about.
It's about reaching a state that the ancient Stoics called apatheia, which doesn't mean apathy. It means a deep, profound resilience where your inner peace just can't be rattled by whatever's happening on the outside. This really illustrates the difference perfectly. On one side, you've got weakness, a person who's basically a puppet of praise and criticism. Their emotions are constantly being yanked around by other people. And on the other side, strength, a person whose center of gravity is internal. They are unmoved, they're centered, they're sovereign. And this brings us to the final, and maybe the most important idea of all: winning in the dark. This whole philosophy is about a fundamental shift in how you operate. It's about realizing that the most important battles are never won in the spotlight. They're won in private, through quiet, relentless, focused effort. And really, that's the stark choice it presents. True excellence, genuine power, that stuff is built in private. The world only ever sees the finished product. The alternative is to stay out there in the noise, constantly looking for validation and never really building anything of true, lasting substance.
So I'll leave you with this one final question to think about. After all this, what is the one thing you're going to commit to building in silence? What's going to be your first victory in the dark?